Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live Season 11 is sponsored by All In Merchandise. Bam! All In Merch is your source for the finest band merch from early hardcore to up-and-coming bands. All In is the go-to. Each item is developed with the artists and decorated with care in upstate New York by folks, cats that love the music and they love the scene. You know what I'm saying? Proceeds are issued directly back to the artists. Order your merch at allinmerch.com and support your favorite band. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live. Today, I'm going to be having on my dude, Damian Master. Let's see, a pregnant light axamite, known abuser, all wave, choker, secret creation, purple light, ornamental headpiece. Oh, my Lord. I'm trying to think of all the bands, all the projects that he's been a part of. Body Stocking, Diamond Dare, just everything in Colloquial Sound Recordings here. We're going to have my dude Damian on and get this started. I'm really, really excited for this episode. This is going to be sick. So let's get him connected. Damian, what is going on, man?
What's up? Wait, I forgot. Hang on.
Uh-oh. Ooh, it's a good look. I like I like it. You got the is it the toothpick in there? The key look?
Oh, no, I got you, though. Hang on. I got you. Oh, I don't have, like, a thing. I don't have, like, a... Hey, everyone else...
Absolutely. The sunglasses and the toothpick is the thing. That's it. Might be harder to talk, but shit, we'll go with it.
I don't really need to talk.
Okay. All right. Well, look, here I'm Growing on You Live. Basically, I have a couple of icebreaker questions initially, and then the remainder of the interview is about you and your craft, all of the projects, your career and music that you've had, and then I have one finale that I wrote just for this episode, dude. So if you're all good and comfy, we're gonna get this bad boy started.
Let's go.
All right. First off, let me ask, as far as if you could make a dream side project with any other 3 members in a band, just for one album, who would be in this project?
I would be in it. I'd probably have Johnny Marr from the Smiths.
Okay.
play guitar. I'd probably have Dave Edwardson from Neurosis on bass. Ooh. And then I would have I'd probably have Blixa Bargeld from Einstürzende Neubauten on vocals and noise.
Ooh, shit.
He would do a bunch of crazy stuff. Can I take these glasses off? It's ridiculous, but
yeah.
Yeah. Who else do I have? So I need a drummer, right?
Yeah.
I would have. I'd probably have Jesse Smith from Zayo.
Ooh, damn!
Yeah,
big moves.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you're gonna do it, you might as well. Shit. I love that. All right, so let me ask you, as far as yourself being a fan of boxing and having an interest in that, if you could have any one boxer come down to an APL track, what boxer would you have, and what song would he come down as entrance music?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think the song I'd pick would be probably the song Purple Light from the first APL full length, because it's just got this like brooding, like low, slow thing. And I would probably have, any boxer. I love Canelo Alvarez, so I'd probably have him do it. Although it'd be a weird fit, but probably have him do it.
Okay. Wow. Hell yeah. Okay. And that was one of those things too. I think of some of these things, and I felt like there's like definitely an energy on I and I. There's just something that kind of punches with that, where it was like some of the energy on that. I was like, I could see some of this shit, just pumping up somebody to get down to a wrestling ring or some shit.
Absolutely. The octagon, maybe get some mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
There
you go. All right. So first off, let's just dig into, as far as, when you were younger, what was playing in the house? What were some albums, maybe some songs that resonated with you?
Like stuff that like my parents listened to, like that kind of stuff. Like my parents weren't really like super big music listeners. I think they listened to music, but it was pretty normal stuff, I think. Like, you can see up there I've got like a Madonna. I've got a Madonna poster, and like my mom really liked Madonna. She really liked REM a lot too.
Okay.
So listen to like a lot of Madonna and REM when I was a kid. My dad liked like prog rock. So he liked Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That was like his favorite band, and like Genesis and stuff like that. But the non Phil Collins era Genesis. But I got into music like on my own. Like it was something I totally discovered on my own, and that's kind of how I came to it.
Oh, okay, okay. And
I
now
mean,
from like interviews
I
and
listen to
different.
like
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as with interviews and different things that I've read too, you've mentioned Nirvana being kind of a
Yeah.
early into punk, so to speak, or kind of that attitude.
Yeah.
What was it from there that that kind of sprawled out your interests in heavier music or punk?
I mean, it was definitely like Nirvana. Like I remember like because like Nevermind has like a naked baby on the front of it. Like I remember getting I had gotten a CD player, which was a big deal in 92, 93,
Mm-hmm.
and holding the CD at like a Walmart and like giving it to my mom because like I wanted to buy it, but I had like my thumb over the penis because like when you're a kid, you're like that's nudity, like
Yeah,
that's not
that's not
allowed,
good. Yeah.
No, and so and I remember she being like, what's going on? And then she like pulled it out of my hand, and I was like, oh, like oh, it's over. She's gonna see a penis, and then she's not gonna let me buy it. And I mean, it's obviously just like a baby dick. So she was like, that's fine. And that sorry, my nose ring's hanging out. But that kind of got me started. And then going to like record stores, like I was really into. I've always been into going to record stores, and I think I mentioned this in the last interview that I did, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. But having someone at a record store be like, "You should go backwards from Nirvana," like someone being like, "Oh, you like Nirvana? Then you would really like Dinosaur Jr. Then you would really like Sonic Youth." And
Oh,
then
okay.
somebody explained to me when I was a kid, like the importance of record labels. And so like all those bands were on like SST.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like looking at SST records, and I was like, oh, there's this band Black Flag, who I had only seen before as like a logo, Like I remember being a kid, I grew up in like a weird college town in Kansas, and I thought like the Grateful Dead was the t-shirt company.
Damn. Okay.
Do you know what I
Nice.
mean? Like
Yeah.
because that was
You just saw it everywhere.
well, yeah, and like I remember my kid thinking like, well, when you go to like Old Navy and you buy a shirt, it says like Old Navy on it.
Right.
And so
Right.
I was like, well, I guess people are buying clothes from Grateful Dead. I, I remember like wanting to go there to like buy clothes for school, and my mom's like, we need to go buy school clothes. I was like, we should go to Grateful Dead. I want one of those skull shirts. He was like, what are you talking
I
about? I was
love
like,
that.
yeah, I
I
had
love
no
that.
idea. So but yeah, being into labels and being into that sort of stuff like pushed me into punk really easily because it could have gone the other way. I could have been into like I could have gone to the record store and they could have blown me off, and I could have just like listened to Nirvana and then like whatever was on the radio, because it wasn't like I had any sort of outside influence. Like I got
Mm-hmm.
into all this music stuff on my own. I ended up like finding people that would push me towards cool stuff, but
Right.
yeah, just mine was about the start of it.
Okay. And I love that too. I mean, that's the cool thing as far as, going to record stores, because the majority of the time you go there, the cats that are working there, the cats that own the place, they're there because they love the shit too. So you go up and you have a
Yeah.
record and they're like, hey, man, if you don't mind me saying, like, this is cool, but, it's always a nice thing to have a recommendation, and then, being able to go back and be like, hey, dude, that shit ruled. I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean, I've worked at record stores for almost 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's my favorite part of the job is doing that. And like, it's changed. The job has changed a lot because it used to be that like we were the gatekeepers, and like in a
Mm-hmm.
good sense of gatekeeping, like we were the ones that knew about all the music, and we like obsessively listened to it. And So people would come in and they'd be like, what do you like? What sounds good? And then we could just go to the bins and fill them up with stuff. And people were much more willing, even like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe, to, what's up, Serbia? But people were much more willing to take a chance on things. Because like now, everyone's heard everything before they go into the record store. My voice is cracking here. But everyone's heard everything before they go into the record store now. So it's like you're going in to make a purchase off of a thing that you have decided is worth your money.
Right.
That's totally different. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be like you would go in and find something based off of a recommendation and then,
Yeah, more of a discovery process.
Yeah, and now it's like a confirmation process. But that being said, we still do have customers that are amazing that like they'll just come in every week and they're like, what are you into? Or, you'll sell them a record and then they'll come back and be like, I loved it, or like, I didn't love it. Let's do this. Let's do this. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's a cool relationship to have. I mean, I certainly dig that. And, just different record stores that I go to as well. I mean, that's always something that's always a great experience, especially when it's shit that you get home and you're like, man, this is good. I'm glad they recommended it.
Yeah, and like I think the art of blind buying is totally like lost on people. And I get it, like especially because like records are expensive now. CDs are expensive. It's hard to spend like 15 or 20 or $25 on something just because somebody told you it's cool. But
yeah, right.
And the way that the world is now, it's like nobody spends time with music anymore. It's like it has to be instantaneous, and that's a really hard part about making music too. Is that like I feel like if you don't get people in that first 10 seconds, it's not like there's a trillion other things for people to listen to.
Yeah, right.
So people are less patient listeners, but people are more open, and there's just so much more stuff, and there's so much more availability.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into this next question as far as, like before times of streaming and the internet and different availabilities of things, what were some albums that you discovered, solely off of like cover art or going into a record shop and, seeing a gig poster, or maybe even albums like thank you notes? What were some albums that you discovered that way?
I mean, Iron Maiden is you look at the sleeves of those Iron Maiden records and it's very obvious that this is a very cool band. Like the first record I bought from them was Killers because it just had because it had the gnarliest cover. And when you're a kid too, I loved like all different kinds of music. I didn't love all kinds of different music. I liked aggressive music.
Yeah.
But, you're informed much easier by, I mean, I guess I'm blathering on. That doesn't make sense. To answer your question, magazines were big back in the day, like Thrasher and like Seven Ball, which was like the Christian equivalent of Thrasher, sort of.
Oh, okay.
Following like record labels, and so like what's a record that I picked up? Like the Iron Maiden was a big one. This is a good one. Like I remember getting into that band Training for Utopia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know them?
Mm-hmm.
So like I think those dudes are in Demon Hunter now, but interesting thing about that is that like Father John Misty, I think, used to play drums in Demon Hunter, which rules. I love Father John Misty, but the dude in Training for Utopia, on the back of the Falling Cycle EP, he had a Neurosis T-shirt on, and I was just like,
oh, okay.
What is Neurosis? And I remember reading other bands saying like Neurosis is this cool band, and like obviously they got a Neurosis flag up there. Like they're one of my favorites, and I just think that like T-shirts were big. Like thanks lists were big. That's how I found out a bunch of cool bands, like especially Boston hardcore bands. But T-shirts were big, dude. Just like seeing a band and seeing like what T-shirts they were wearing, and then like going into that. And I remember confusing people because like some dudes in bands were wearing like New Order T-shirts. So I remember going to the record store and buying like lots of punk and metal and the beginnings of like industrial and stuff like that. And then going like, But I also want like the New Order and Smiths, and they were just like,
Oh, yeah.
what is going on with this kid? But
You like what you like, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, as far as like within your bands and different projects, being efficient, vocals, guitar, bass, drums, playing keyboards, different things. Where did it all start for you? As far as what was the first instrument that you picked up, started with?
I mean, I picked up guitar first. I mean, that's my main instrument. I feel like that's what I'm most proficient at. I don't feel like I'm very good at anything else you listed, but
Okay.
I'm an okay bass player. I'm not the best bass player. I have the most fun playing bass. Like,
Oh, okay.
bass is like my favorite thing to do. It's like my fun. I don't really have fun playing guitar. It's like it's a huge struggle. Because you have all these ideas, and you have like your brain works faster than your hands can.
Okay.
But I mean, really starting CSR and starting doing solo stuff, like, that was when I had to like and I'm still not very good at that stuff. I'm getting better, but that was when I had to go like, okay, I have to start playing drums. I have to start playing guitar. I have to start singing more and doing that sort of stuff. But guitar is really where I enjoy myself. I feel like that's where I can speak and be the most creative. But I would say recently, in the last like couple years, I've become really into vocals. Like,
Oh, okay.
I feel like most people identify with vocals when they listen to music. Because it's like you're willing to listen to an okay band if they have a great singer, but you're not going to listen to a bad band with a great singer. Do you know what I mean? This is not.
Yeah, touche. Okay.
Touche.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
as far as, your interest in playing guitar, what was your first guitar, and what were some some licks that you wanted to learn when you got that bad boy?
I think my parents bought me a Hamar Slammer. It was like a black and white Strat copy. They overpaid for it. I think the people like laughed when we were walking out the door. Like, I can't believe we sold these idiots this piece of junk. But I mean, that was
No.
yeah. I mean, it was it was a total ripoff. But there was a kid in my neighborhood who was really into like grunge, and he played guitar, and he was a few years older than I was, and he was a cool kid. He like looked like Kurt Cobain, and he
Weird.
killed himself like Kurt Cobain, which was crazy. It was like the first dude I knew that ever killed himself. He killed himself when he was like 17, maybe.
God.
But broke up with his girlfriend. He broke up with his girlfriend and killed himself. So,
Whoa.
I mean,
Jeez.
total like.
So then you got his guitar or what?
No, but he taught me, because I remember. Okay, yeah, because he taught me like how to play guitar, and I think the first riff I ever learned on guitar was "Glycerine" by Bush.
Whoa. Okay.
I
Don't let the days go by.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a Bush fan. I'm not a whatever, but like, I think maybe it was like, yeah, "Glycerine" by Bush, and then maybe like "Come As You Are." I think.
Nice. Okay. I mean, there's definitely worse things that the start could come from.
Yeah, not many. I mean, I think those songs are like the equivalent of "Smoke on the Water" or something.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I can agree with that for sure. Now, as far as earlier on in starting your first band, how did you link up with Cats as far as, the idea to start a band, and how did that process go for you?
Well, I was always the instigator of like every band I've ever been in, with the exception of maybe like one or two. I always wanted to be in a band, and I always wanted to play music. And so I think like kids casually play guitar, or maybe they casually play drums. And when I was in high school, there was a band that was a couple years older than us called Kindred Spirits. And they were like an emo kind of band, but they were more like, I mean, this was early 2000s. So this was like, they were into like Small Brown Bike, if you remember them, and like Hot Water Music.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But this was like 10 years before Hot Water Music was a big name in
Cool.
punk and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they had
right.
been a band for 10 years before that. So they were into like that kind of stuff.
Jesus.
And so I remember he was the only dude that I knew that played drums. And so I just begged him to join my band. And then there was another friend of mine. He played guitar, and we just started a 3-piece band with 2 guitars and a drummer. And I've been playing music ever since.
Nice. Okay. Okay. And now I guess, fast forwarding in a sense, years
I
later.
should also mention real quick of that.
Mm-hmm.
Our first couple shows, we had like 300 people there, because it was like a high school thing. Like, we're like, hey, we have a band, we're playing a show, and people were just like, what? Like, you have a band? I'm like, yeah, we write original music and we have a band. And like, that was the big thing, is that we were writing. So we would get all of our friends, and the whole high school would show up to these shows, and they were like crazy packed. And I remember we were charging, I think, $3 at the door. We had 3 bands, and we were charging $3. And the coffee shop that let us like do the show there, I mean, I don't think they charged us anything to do it, but
Oh, okay.
those early shows like warped me so hard, because like I just remember we got like some girl to run the door, because I'm like, you have to have a girl to run the door, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so silly when you're in high school. Like, just you need to like, we need a door girl. I was like, I can't be a boy. It can't be anybody. Like, but I remember like we had to get a door girl, and I remember like one of our friends was a girl to like run the door, and I remember her coming out to me like, I have so much money. I was like, what are you talking about? And we just stacks and stacks of money. And I mean, I don't know what 300 times 3 is. I'm very bad at math, but when you're in high school, it seemed like so much money. It was just so much money, and I was just like, this is what being in a band is. It's like hundreds and hundreds of people will show up to see you, and you just get paid a ton of money. This is wild. Like, this is the best. Like, why doesn't everyone be in a band? And then
Right.
you get out of high school and you keep going to bands, and it's like, oh yeah, like 20 people it's a good night, you know?
That's a good.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, like,
shit. Wow.
if you ever try to explain to like civilians, like playing in a hardcore band, like, yeah, we drove 6 hours, we played for 26 people, we got paid $100, and people were like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it was the best. It was the best. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what a great show. And people are so confused by it.
It's crazy you mentioned that too, because early on in life, when I started, hearing about punk and different bands and things, I remember I was a girlfriend, early on, and we were talking about punk, and she was mentioning, like going to shows and different things. And I'm like, yeah, like when I play music, I want to do these big concerts, and I can't wait to, get paid and have da 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 da. She's like, that's not what music's about, man. Like, it's all about the passion. And if you go there and there's nobody there, you're doing that because you love it. And I'm like,
Right.
That sounds horrible. I don't want to do that.
I mean,
but it was one of those staples where I was like, holy shit, man. Like, that's very, very true. Now, like older, playing music, playing shows and different things, you do this stuff because of the passion. It's not, a driven, the money's nice, I mean, that helps as far as with merch or, being able to record or anything like that. But the passion that comes with it is really, the driving force behind all that stuff. So it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, I mean, those early shows warped my whole thought of playing shows, but obviously, like, I think a lot of people want to be successful in everything they do, which is fine. And obviously I want to be successful too, but there's very easy ways to be successful. There's very, very easy ways to do it. It's not a secret. There is no secret to success. Like, you write songs that people like, and you put them in front of people as much as you can. Usually that's like touring or whatever. And like now you don't even have to do that. Like, and that's not a statement on like the fact that there hasn't been shows in a year, but just like bands now with like the internet or whatever, like you can just get placements, you can do whatever, you can blow up off SoundCloud, you can blow up off of TikTok or something like that. So but if you're making music that you want to make, that's like maybe it won't be successful because it's your vision, it's your whatever, and it's like it's the passion that you have attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Right.
yeah, there's no money in that. There's no money in passion or whatever. I mean, there is. I'm not trying to say that because it makes me sound like a bitter loser, but which I'm not a bitter loser. I'm not mad about anything, but yeah, it's like if you want to be in like a band that's popular, like it's very easy to do.
Yeah.
But if you want to do your own thing, get prepared to play for 0 people regularly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, if all else fails, just grab 7 of your friends and throw some masks on and, start a band like Slipknot.
Yeah, there's that.
That should all catch on.
I don't like Slipknot at all, but I've read their Wikipedia page so many times. Just like I have such a tremendous like respect for that band. I like everything about them except for their music. Well, and like the way they look. I don't like the way they look. I don't like their music, but like just reading about like how that dude started the band, because that is the clown guy, right? Like it's his band, right? Mm-hmm. It's his band.
Yeah.
And like he just decided one day that he was like, I'm going to start the biggest band in the world. And then he did it.
Yeah.
And
certainly a driving force.
He was like old. He had kids. He was like old, and he was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work at it. And I'm just going to like have this vision and focus. And like, he did it. Like, respect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I guess that's one of those things too, where, you put your mind to something and you just don't stop and push to it. There's different factors, but I mean, they it definitely worked for whatever the fuck that, they were pushing to do.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think too, like, it was amazing that he found like 5. How many guys were in that band? 6 guys were in that
9.
band? 9?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy that he found like 8 other guys who are. I can't find 2 other guys. I can't find 1 other guy. It's like, how do you find 8 people that are like, yeah, let's do this? Like, how does that work?
It's wild. But, yeah.
I guess in Des Moines, people are just trying to get the fuck out. Right?
Yeah, touche. I can see that. Some spots in Michigan, I feel like that's probably the same type of situation there.
Yeah.
So, all right, fast forwarding as far as, you start an APL, it's kind of a project for, for something to you to be able to just kind of be self-reliant, do your own thing and release stuff, on your own timeline. Tell us about what were some of the first riffs or some of the first tracks that started this project for you.
I think, some of the, I had always been a fan of like black metal, and it's always something that I really liked. And I got into black metal at church camp. That was a very extremely true story.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was a kid who, I mean, I went to church camp willingly because I thought it was fun and I enjoyed it. And I liked all the cute girls that were at church camp. So I was like, this is cool. I'll go. But there was a kid there who was like all black metaled out. And this was in probably 98 or 99 maybe. And he had like a Mayhem shirt and an Emperor shirt, and he had a Burzum shirt, and he brought a guitar with him. And I just remember being like blown away by this music, because I was like, yeah, I like aggressive music. I like heavy music. Like at the time I was into like skate punk and stuff like that. And I thought like that was heavy, or like some metal stuff I was listening to was heavy, but like that was totally different. And I remember finding Cruelty and the Beast by Cradle of Filth at a record store on one of those like listening stations, and it just blowing my mind, and like buying the CD and like having to hide it from my parents because everything about that band just blew my mind. Like they were so fast, they were so melodic, there was like keyboards in it, the lyrics were so like in depth, and there were so many lyrics, and his voice was crazy. So, but as I got into like black metal and stuff like that, I like the one man band thing was very prevalent, especially like in like the second wave and later. But it's something I always wanted to do and experiment with. And really the genesis of like me doing APL was like, I had a hardcore band around 2008 or 9 that I think it was safe to say that we were probably the most popular hardcore band in the state. You know, that's not a big title. You know, it didn't gain us much, but we were very big, and I think if we would have worked at it, we probably could have taken it to the next level and toured a bunch nationally and probably did pretty well, but those guys didn't want to do it anymore. You know, they wanted to start families or get married or whatever, which is fine. I didn't see why you couldn't do both. I mean, I know it's hard, but like, you know, everything's hard. That's what I don't get, man. Like, you know, everything you do is hard. Like, what you do is hard. You know what I mean? Like, you put so much work into this stuff and this show and arranging all this stuff. It's like it's not easy, but you do it because you love it, and you do it because you're convinced that like it's something you want to see. You're making the art that you want to see. And so after all that time, I was just like, fuck this. I'm going to make the shit that I want to make. I'm not going to be held back by people anymore. I'm not going to like build another band. I'm not going to do this stuff. I'm going to do it all myself, and like maybe to my detriment even, like, because it's like people are kind of weirded out and turned off by the whole thing just because it's one guy just going. And you have to be so focused and so just dialed into what you want to do that it turns people off, you know. And then the other thing started going is like, once you start doing it and you get the ball rolling and you realize you can just keep going and going, people then become intimidated because it's like there's just one guy cranking out all this stuff. And it becomes a thing. It's like, yeah, I don't fucking need you anymore. You know what I mean? So just getting black metal was always a thing that I enjoyed, and it just timed up well with like the US starting to pump out a lot of good black metal bands. You know, your Zapsters, your Leviathans, like Moribund is a really cool label putting out a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
And I saw an opportunity and I went for it. And 10 years later, here I am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about now there's been a little bit of a journey over the time of different APL records, different, you know, projects of yours vocally, you know, you've kind of had different waves of, you know, a distant, airy sound. More recently, there's a little bit more in your face, abrasive. You know, tell us, you know, what was kind of your journey in finding your vocal approach?
Well, I think initially it was all like, it was a super blend of like aesthetic choice and the fact that a lot of the music has those kind of vocals, like where they're really like drenched in reverb and distant, and like you want to seem like ethereal and ghost-like, and that's super cool, and I like that, and that's pretty much how the early stuff was. But like you did that, I did that for a long time, and it just became this thing where it was like, some people would like bitch. Well, people would bitch about everything. It drives me nuts. Like when you make music, like I never once, and like, and I'm a crazy music listener, but like I never once have like listened to a band and then felt the need to weigh in on what I don't like about it to them. Like never want, and like same thing too with like, I've never left a YouTube comment. Like, you know, like, who does this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, who does this kind of shit? But people were like, oh, the guitars are really cool, the music's cool, but I don't like the vocals. Or some people were like, I really like the vocals. And the other part of like the vocals being mixed like that was that I wasn't confident. I wasn't sure of who I was. You know, I wasn't secure in my vocal. I thought my vocals were bad. I didn't think they were good. So you mask them as much as you can to make them seem like, because it's a human voice, you know. Like everyone hates the sound of their own voice, you know. Like,
right. Okay.
So, and I'm not like a beautiful singer. Like I'm not. I don't know who's a good singer. I don't know, Adele or whatever. I don't know why I thought of her, but you know.
Madonna.
Yes, Madonna. Yeah, there you go. I don't have like a great voice like that, so it's like you end up covering it up however you want. But then a couple years back, I just remember, and then I cleaned up the records on the first, or cleaned up the sound on the first full length a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember people's reaction to the vocals being like crazy. People going just like, dude, your voice is awesome. And I was just like, what? It's the worst part. You should listen to the guitars. And they're like, no, the vocals are cool. And then like that's when I realized that like most people identify with vocals over music. I identify with music. Like, I mean, who are you? Are you a vocal guy or a music guy?
Generally,
I think you're a music guy, right?
Yeah. Generally, as far as if I'm discovering a new band or listening to something for the first time, I guess myself playing drums, that's something, the tones or just the style of playing, and then the vocals will be, my draw as far as there's been bands where it's like, man, this is pretty cool, but the vocals are not my thing, and I probably won't listen to the record again.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I think most musicians are music people, even if like vocals are a part of their like swag or whatever. But like, yeah, I just realized that like, are my vocals good? Like, I don't know what's going on. And then one of my friends moved back. He was living in LA for 12 years in the music industry, and I'll probably reference him a couple times because he's been really instrumental in helping me do CSR the way that I've been doing it, and kind of the way that I'm changing things and the way that I'm progressing. But I remember him going to me saying like, the vocals are the best part. Your voice is the best part of the band. I was like, no, it's the guitars. He was like, no, and he doesn't like the music necessarily. You know what I mean? He sees what I'm doing. He likes it and he appreciates it. But he's like, your vocals are what make it unique. And I guess I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, that's what gives any band their, because you can have a million hardcore bands, and I guess what differentiates them is their vocals. And so I decided, he was like, we need to stop like messing them up. We need to like make them clear. We need to make them clean. Still be heavy and still be crunchy, but let's do that. And then I remember like the first time he helped me mix a song, and the vocals were like way up front, way loud, and this didn't have a bunch of effects on them. I was like mortified. It's like, it's like standing in front of a bunch of people naked. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, oh, I can't handle this. And then he was like, no, man, it's good. It's really good. Trust me. And then like, I don't know. Yeah. Then I just kind of came into it and pause. But I just got into it. And now I realize like, fuck, the vocals this is my favorite part now. Now I love doing the vocals. I love recording them. And people get to hear my words. That's cool. I like they're right.
There you go. Okay. And I mean, not to dial right in on the exact thing that you had just said, but as far as when I had heard your initial albums, EPs that were coming out with that approach, I was like, holy shit, okay, this is taking things to a whole different level as far as the music sounds aggressive. This is right in your face. The vocals were really, really cool too. So I mean, I appreciated that. I like the other style as well. It's not to knock that, but I love the the more abrasive, right in your face shit. So I mean, if he was telling you that, I can agree as well as a fan.
Yeah, I think he was right. I hate to say it because he doesn't need any more ego, but you're probably right.
All right, he's in the back flicking his hair. Yeah, okay, I got it. All right, so one thing I wanted to touch on as far as going through being a fan of APL, listening to different albums, different records. One in particular that really I think changed my focus on being, just kind of an acquainting listener as opposed to a fan and a follower of albums was Rocky. That comes out, the release comes out, I listened to that, and it kind of put me at a standstill. I remember being at the gym. I kind of had to sit down and listen and read the lyrics, and it was one of those things I had to just stop everything. Do you have any albums? Do you have any EPs that come to mind of things that have kind of brought you to that, emotionally as far as with music?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, thank you. That was a very emotional release. Like I made if you don't know, and like I made that record after my dad died, about my dad. And so, and like having like the voicemail that he left me the morning that he died, like at the end of the record, like I was kind of worried when I did that people would think I was capitalizing on his death, but nobody thought that. I was just paranoid about that sort of stuff. But people saw it for what it was. It was a good tribute. But I mean, as far as like records that blew my mind, I think like the first time I heard "Where Blood and Fire Bring Rest" by Zayo, I just because I saw them before that record with their like, I mean, there's no such thing as an original lineup, but I saw them with a different singer, Sean Jonas, and like I think Roy Gowdy was on guitar, and obviously Jesse Smith on drums. I saw them, and they were a ripping hardcore band. And then when I remember like they have a new record out, and I was like, oh great, it's '98, and I remember going to the bookstore and buying it, and just putting it on, and it was so different, and it was so heavy, and it was so dark, and it was crushing. That record, like it changed my life totally. Just the way that, and I remember like reading the lyrics, and there's a song about one of their friends dying, and there's all this like dark imagery, but it didn't feel dark in a way that Slayer felt dark. Like I always kind of, it's not a very popular opinion, but I always kind of disliked Slayer a little bit. I've come around to Slayer quite a bit, but like I always thought they were goofy. You know what I mean? There's nothing like a goofy. I mean, maybe it's just me, but there was just I didn't get the sense that they were really for Satan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's what appealed to me about black metal to an extent, was that like hearing those early like Burzum records and Mayhem records, which like I know like whatever, they're all canceled. It's fine. We're not going to get in that conversation, but those were what I heard in the time because that was what music was, at the time. And just hearing those like they totally created a different world, and it blew me away. So like the Zayo record blew me away. The early Burzum stuff blew me away. Of course, we're not allowed to listen to him anymore. He's canceled, which is fine. But I'm just being honest. I think like the other thing too was, what was another? I mean, the Smiths. Like hearing the Smiths for the first time, like being like a moody, angsty teenager. It's totally like a Morrissey thing. Like another canceled thing. Fuck, I'm just going through all this. But just another like. I mean, there's something to be said about that. Like, he speaks to somebody who feels like they don't fit in. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I didn't have a lot of friends. Just because I was living in a new place every 18 months, And those lyrics, like, really spoke to me because, and you're melodramatic and you're, whatever when you're a kid. So, Smith's records. And then, honestly, like, Aphex Twin, like, listening to, like, early Aphex Twin, like, that blew my mind too. I mean, obviously I got way deeper into electronic music and metal and punk and hardcore, but I remember hearing Selected Ambient Works and just by Aphex Twin and thinking like, this is like the music they play. I remember having this exact thought. I'm like, this is like the music they play in the mall at that store where assholes shop, but it's very good. But it's very good. But it's not asshole store music. It's very good, So, and I'm trying to
if
remember
they had that music, it'd be better.
Right. Like I think maybe I was thinking of Express, that store. I don't know. But just because when you're a kid, the only reason to go there's only two reasons to go to the mall: Hot Topic and the food court. That's it. So all the other places, you just walk around making fun of everybody.
Oh my God. All right. On a little bit of a lighter note with APL, with some of the completely wild merch, some of the crazy shit that you've released as far as different things.
Yeah, like what? I don't know.
All right, let's see here. So most recently I saw you had condoms. Very sick.
Oh, yeah.
Matchbook, that was very sick. I guess it's not necessarily wild, but Man, what am I? I'm
Imagine
trying
pretty
to.
wild.
That is pretty wild. It's something different. I'm trying to think of.
I
Was
put
it
out like
ornamental headpiece that it was like a leather bound? That's CSR, but it was like a leather bound casing. What the hell
I
was
did that.
that?
Oh, I did. Well, for ornamental headpiece, I did like a camo. I sewed a camo jacket for it, and then had this
Okay,
wild
that's
lady. I had this wild lady in Middleville like embroider it with like this military thing, and she was very confused by the whole thing. I did make a leather jacket for the APL record, and then had
okay.
a laser place engraved the logo on it, which was pretty ripping. It was also
Okay.
extremely expensive. But like that's my like that's totally my energy is like I don't give a fuck about money. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. Like I just want to make shit that's cool to me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's what I want to do is I just want to watch shit that's ripping to me. Or not watch,
Okay.
but do things that's cool to me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and I did like
Somebody
I
said,
think a release an APL choker for my girls. There you go. I actually had a
I think
band
they're onto
called
something.
Choker, and we had a tape that came out in a box that had a choker necklace and it had candy in it and a bunch of other like I don't know. I probably should talk about it. It was bad boy energy. It was definitely bad boy energy.
We'll rewind that. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
with some of the wild things and some of the different ideas that you've had for for merch ideas, what
I
have
did
been some
pencils.
things that maybe didn't make the cut or weren't feasible to do?
What? Yeah. Oh God, he said Lolita Kit. Yeah. Fuck. That's what it was. I mean, it's not what I endorse. It was an aesthetic thing, but what's something I was trying to make the cut? I don't want to give away anything because it might all come to fruition at some point. But
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, I did some like hotel bedside notepads that were really cool. I think like those notepads are cool.
Okay.
Um, let's see what I'm working on. I have some post-it notes that I'm making, APL post-it notes, and then in the process, I can tell this because this is not related to me, but a big part of what I do for other people is like I do the label and I work a few hours at the store, but a big part of like what I do for money now, which is the legal part of what I do for money, I no longer am involved in anything that will catch me a federal charge. Thank you. Um, like my friend runs like a motorcycle thing, like a motorcycle company, and I'm making him custom nail brushes. Like, do you like brushes for your nail? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
because if you're working on bikes all day, like you're gonna have dirty nails. So I'm just doing shit like that all the time. Like
Damn. Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty ripping idea, but
The funny thing with some of this shit too is it's practical. Like you mentioned post-it
uh,
notes. You have
right?
you have the old light bat. Oh my god, the matchbox. It's like this is something I could use,
You
and I
know,
and you
and
got the
condoms.
logo right there. And
Yeah, I mean
condoms
condom, very useful, very useful. You know,
to
stay
some,
safe.
maybe not others, but to some. We'll move on.
Could
Let's stop there.
I
Let's stop
mean,
there.
I mean, I mean, personally, I would never use one, but I want you guys to use one. You
All right, let's move on to "Kiss Me Through the Phone." So, you're the most recent project through the last year. You're releasing a new track every month, and now is it going to be releasing a vinyl this year? Is that the plan?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah. I mean, I think I don't want to. I mean, I do the surprise release thing all the time, but I've been doing it for 10 years, so maybe it's time to move on to something else. But I believe I'm probably gonna come out March 19th. The vinyl.
oh,
The vinyl's
oh,
done.
okay.
It's done. I'm waiting on one more piece from it. But yeah, the phone project was super super cool. Yeah, basically.
What were
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what were some of the pros and cons as far as because I can't imagine how that came about, and what were some of the pains in the ass with doing something like that?
I mean, the whole thing was a giant pain in the ass. There was nothing that was cool about it. But like, but see, like again, like I'm very, very, very serious about like my music and my art. Um, like very serious, but there's always like a sense of humor to everything that I do. But I'm not a jokey band. I'm not I don't, nobody would think that anything I do is comedic. But I think maybe that's like the Morrissey thing, is like the dark humor all the time. And I really like Soulja Boy, and he had that song "Kiss Me Through the Phone," where he pretty much predicted texting and predicted like everything on the internet. Like Soulja Boy invented the internet, you know. Let's be honest. And he had that song "Kiss Me Through the Phone," and I started thinking about phones and started thinking about how people release music. And I don't want to like get into exact like detail, but there have been a few times recently where I've done things where I've been copied, which I know sounds crazy and it sounds egotistical and it sounds like that's not, you know, they're like, oh sure, this little guy that is doing this stuff, like someone's ripping him off. But I have it on some pretty good authority that some things I've done have been swagger jacked pretty hard. But
Ooh.
it's fine. It doesn't bother me. Like I did it. I did it before you. And I had the idea in December 2019 because I had just put out the APL full length in July. I was like, well, I have to do something because the APL full length popped off. Like Broken Play did really well. And I was like, well, I have to do something now. Like I can either just go back to doing EPs, demos, and then another record when I feel like it. But I thought that people deserve something different. People deserve something cooler. Like, it's just so, I mean, I don't want to swear, but it's just so fucking boring. Like, everything is the same. The whole, like, record cycle, and it's like, well, listen, if we're gonna be a part of, like, independent music, if I'm gonna do this thing on my own, let's do something different. Let's do something that's not just like a Bandcamp link. Do you know what I mean? Like, why don't we present music differently to people? And I started thinking, I'm like, okay, well, how can I do that? And then I was like, you want to have it like accessible to everyone. You don't, because the first thought that you have is like, put it out on a weird format, you know? Well, it's like, well, we've been done tapes, we've been done records, like we've been done CDs, you know. All those CDs are totally coming back now, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I see CDs
Of course.
all yeah, that's great. I'm now buying like 2 copies of every record. Like I'm buying like a vinyl copy and a CD copy for my truck. So it's like, thank God CDs are back. But
Yeah.
but like I started thinking about how can I give people music that's different? That's not just like a YouTube link. That's not just a Spotify link. That's not like an iTunes thing. It's so boring. Everybody does that. And then I thought like, okay, yeah, like format is out because you don't want to put out music. You don't want to put out music on an 8-track. You know what I mean? Like it's a gimmicky thing. Although Integrity just did that, and I would never accuse DeWitt of doing anything gimmicky. DeWitt rules. Integrity.
Clarify.
Yeah, clarified. Father DeWitt, hop on an APL track. I'll let you sing about the devil, DeWitt. How's that? I'll sing about Jesus. You sing about the bad boys. So then I thought like, fuck, dude, like everyone has a phone. How can I send music to the phone? And I thought like, well, I could like text people songs. That was kind of my first initial thought. I was like, what if I just got a bunch of phone numbers and I just sent songs to your phone? And then I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. And like, I don't want to have to text. So it's going to be a problem, you know? I'm just like, someone with an Android is going to be like, I didn't get the song. And I was like, well, do I charge them for it? Do I do whatever? Like, I don't know what to go. I don't know where to do. And then I thought like a phone line. It just came to me like in December 2019, like, I'm going to start a phone line, and once a month, I'm going to release a song that you can only hear on the phone line. And it's just going to be one song a month, and I'm going to do it all year. And that's it. There's no streaming. There's no downloads. There's no other place you can hear it. It's going to sound like fucked up. It's going to sound... Yeah, I mean, all the songs sound fucked up. And like now that they're done and they're mastered and they're mixed, funny story, They still sound fucked up, but for different reasons, which we won't have to get into. They sound totally fucked up, but it's cool. So I thought like, dude, this is genius. Like, this is a genius idea. Like, I'm gonna get a phone line. I'm gonna do this thing. And this all came together with my buddy Josh, who I mentioned, the dude from LA. He was still living in LA at the time. So, and LA's 3 hours earlier. So I was just constantly on the phone with him all day trying to get this thing set up and figured out, because he wanted to be a part, but I was like, well, then you have to do it. Like, cause I don't know how phone systems work. Cause you have to like, it was so funny. We called these people to set up the phone line, and they were like, we explained to them the concept. Cause you want to know, like, can you upload your own message, and can it be like 3 to 5 minutes long? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I'm in a band and I'm going to do this thing. And they were just like, this is ridiculous. Like, why? And I was like, I think it's very cool. Like, it's very, and I was like, and I want people to be able to leave voicemails, and I want people to be able to do all this stuff. And the phone people were just like, we do phone systems for like plumbing companies and like insurance companies, like, and they were just annoyed at like this metal band who wanted to buy a phone line. I mean, I'll tell you, they were annoyed up until the 12th of every month when I had to pay them.
Right.
Which, by the way, I didn't mention this, but like, when you have a toll-free number, like, it's toll-free to the caller. It's not toll-free to me. It costs me a ton of money every month to do it. So I just remember, like, every month, it was like $250 a month. It was crazy money.
Oh my God.
Dude, yeah, it was fucked. I never said this before, because I didn't want to guilt people into calling. You know, I didn't want to be like, I'm spending $250 a month on this phone line. Please call for this thing that generates $0 of income. You know what I mean? And to me, again, like I said earlier, that's the biggest flex. It's like the weird merch things that I do. The biggest flex to me is like, I don't give a fuck about money. Fuck money. I'll get more money. Like, money doesn't matter to me, because it's like, you can always get more money, you know? Uh-huh. But yeah, I spent like $250 a month for 12 months on a phone line that people were just weirded out by. Some people didn't even call, you know? I had friends that didn't even call, you know, like fucking hater ass bitches. But yeah, so basically all those songs, and keep in mind too, so we put this all together in a month, came up with the idea, came up with the project, and then we're like, okay, we're just going to launch them once a month, take them down here, give the option to have people leave voicemails. And it was very cool. And then COVID happened. So everyone was all into this like social distancing thing. And like, you don't have to, like, I was like, whoa, like, I did it first. You know what I mean? Like, I had socially distant music before it was cool.
Touche. All right. A little copyright on that trademark.
Yeah, right.
I like that. All right.
So yeah, now, anyway, the record's coming out, and the record's coming out in March. And
sweet.
Now you'll be able to hear the songs that were just available through the phone.
That is awesome. You know, and earlier we kind of touched on, you know, as far as like gimmicks. I feel like there's a difference between gimmicks and something that is just a different way of receiving things, you know, as opposed to, hey, this might kind of suck, but if you check it out through this, you might enjoy it. You know, I think there's a difference between something having, you know, a quality product behind it and, you know, being able to be like, oh shit, I can get this with it too. Like, hell yeah, you know, I'll pick that up. I think that's sick. So, you know, I think that's, you know, that's kind of an important thing as far as for some cats where, you know, maybe they rely on gimmicks as opposed to having the foundation of a good product to start with. And then, you know, it doesn't help having a fucking phone line to be able to call in and check out something new every month that comes up too. So
it was really cool, and the people that participated in it were awesome. Like the people that there was people that called multiple times a day. You know, there were people that called from all over the world, and then I got a bunch of pissy emails and DMs because keep in mind, I know nothing about phone systems, so. I started like the phone system thing, and I kept telling everyone it was toll free. It's toll free. Well, it's only toll free for the U.S. Like nobody bothered to tell me that. So I got a
Oh,
bunch of angry messages from people who called all over the world and were like, they got charged $3 a minute to listen to this song. You know what I mean? So that was a little rough.
oh,
I didn't know.
yikes.
I didn't know. But
Well, I mean, that's when you're like, hey, man, that money didn't go in my pocket. Shit.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I told them too. Like they were mad at me, and I was just like it's supposed to be free, and I was like, it's not like I'm getting the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Okay. All right. So now, as far as moving on a little bit with CSR, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to, just kind of dig into, as far as with the label, with CSR being a very DIY approach, what were some of the inspirations initially taking that approach for you as opposed to, maybe even taking your projects, your bands to a label at the time? What was the initial, like, fuck, I'll just do this myself?
I mean, I was definitely always inspired by Discord. The fact that like Minor Threat, they didn't. I mean, they knew the SST guys. They probably could have gone to SST and then like, put out this record or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they were just like, we're gonna do it ourselves, and like Touch and Go and like those kind of labels were tremendously inspirational to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, like I mentioned too earlier, like I was so sick of relying on people. I was so over like
Okay.
having to run things by people and have like a committee on everything. Like just this was so annoying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just realized that like I'm also not afraid of the work. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not afraid
Okay.
to do the work. So if I'm not afraid to do the work and I'm not afraid to put it all in, then like, well, why shouldn't I just do it myself? And I've recently, like I said, like we as musicians have this thing where like we want to be co-signed by some. Everybody wants that like label co-sign because they think that if they sign to a label, that something big's going to happen to them. That they're going to get more popular. They're going to get more placements. They're going to get whatever. And that's only sometimes true. How many labels
Mm-hmm.
do you see now, or like bands you see that signed a label and they're like, it didn't do anything for me? So I had in the back of my mind this whole time, like, maybe I should just do it myself. And then the other thing too, like, even I, as recently as a few years ago, had like these weird fantasies of like maybe going on to another label or doing something different. But again, like talking to my buddy Josh, where he was like, because he's in the music industry, he's in the actual music industry,
Mm-hmm.
not the music industry that you and I are involved with. But
Mm-hmm.
him just being like, how like when you're a kid and you drive by McDonald's and you're like, I want McDonald's, I'm hungry, and your mom's like, we have food at home, and you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And it was
Oh
like,
shit, that's
yeah,
great.
but it's different, Like, no, that's different. So like, so my buddy who's in the actual music industry with $1 million contract, millions of dollars in contracts, millions of dollars of live shows and all this stuff like that. So he goes to me, he goes, you have a label at home. What do you need another label for? So you do it all. And he was like, you don't need a label, you need a booking agent. He was like, he's like, people are buying music direct more than ever. You don't have to have a distributor. You don't have to have a label. And the other thing too that I realized is like, in the process of doing all this, like, bro, I've done everything with this label. Everything. Like, I've made records, I've made tapes. Everything I do is 100,000% me. I designed it. I manufactured. I bought tape duplication machines. I figured out how to make J cards. I made my own templates. I did everything myself. Nobody helped me.
Damn.
Like, I press the records myself. I get the records done here. I get the jackets done here. I assemble it all together. I've fucked up so many times because I'm doing it. Just because I don't have the money or the time or the willingness to like have somebody sit me down and school me. It's like, I'll just learn this myself. Like, I just do this all myself.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like, yeah, it's like, what the fuck do I need a label for? Like, to press a record? Like, dog, I know how to do that. And furthermore, I think a lot of people who are in bands, they have no idea how to like run the business aspect of it, or they're not interested in that. They just want to be in the band. They just want to write the songs, you know, talk to the girls, do the drugs, and take the glory. And it's like, that's all very cool stuff, but I don't mind doing mail order. You know what I mean? Like, straight up, like, it doesn't bother me to answer PayPal messages. It doesn't bother me to pack orders. It doesn't bother me to do that stuff. Like I've never built a website before. And then like this year I built a CSR website, which is colloquialsoundrecordings.com. Make sure you go and sign up. For an email list. But like, sign up for the email list. It's very important. Yeah, it's all DIY. Everything I do is by myself. And it's not out of any sort of misguided punk ethos of like, it's got to be DIY. It's like, it never even entered into my mind. It's just that like, it's not DIY. It's who else is going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
No one else is going to do it. So you have to do it yourself.
So let me ask this. This is piggybacking a little bit as far as what you're just touching on, but I think it's kind of an important thing as far as along with this, what opportunities do you believe have come from having a completely self-sufficient label as opposed to, you know, a lot of people having that, you know, that drive of like, or mentality of like, oh, I got to get on a label. What opportunities do you think that you've gotten from doing this shit yourself?
I mean, I'm about 80% richer than if I was to be on a label. I mean, think about it like that. Like, I mean, they're just going to give you at best 20% of the music that you make and you record and you do.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like opportunities go, like I think all of the things that I would say, they're all like, I have complete and total artistic freedom. Like I have complete and total dominion and direction over every single thing that I do.
I love that.
And people who are on a label or they have producers or whatever, and I'm not dogging that. Like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be open to stuff like that at some point, but like the amount of music that I produce, the sheer volume of it, like no one could keep up with it. I had to do it myself. So the opportunities that I provided were that I was able to express myself creatively and artistically. Like I was able to express myself in a way that wasn't tied to any sort of structure, where there were other people, where there were other bands, where there was other like whatever. I didn't have to fit any sort of internal scheme. I didn't have to be a part of a release schedule. And like we said in the early part of the interview, like, well, what is the point of doing all this? It's to be creative and to do something that artistically fulfills you. So if all of these other things get in the way of that, then doesn't it seem like those things are a bad idea?
Nice. I like that.
So like,
I think you need to write a book, dude. Put some of this shit in there. Make sure to trade. When I go back and edit this, I'm going to put trademarks under some of this shit that you're saying.
TMDM.
2020, 2021 CSR. You can't, don't take that.
Yeah. And honestly, straight up, you know, but like, there were missed opportunities that I had probably in 2014 or 15, where after I put out the first record, a bunch of big labels, they came knocking and they sent me contracts, and I don't want to say who, but like big metal labels, like surprisingly big, like labels that they were like, you didn't do that. And I was like, also keep in mind, very cocky, very high on myself at the time, very successful in a small little world, doing my own thing, like having a very niche, you know, music genre that I essentially created, that own little swag, you know. So I had these people knocking on the door, and I told them all to fuck off, you know. And like, it's kind of funny because then when things dipped, and then I started kind of wanted to talk to some of these people again, because I thought maybe I should have said yes to some of them. People are not interested in hearing from me, I can tell you that. But I think like that's okay. Like, and I probably did the right thing. And I had a couple of like people look at the contracts. Like, the contracts were so bad, dude. They were so bad. Like, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, put out these records on this big label that will allegedly get me these bigger placements, allegedly get me this more stuff, but like, then am I just supposed to work at Jimmy John's or something? And like, there's nothing wrong with working at Jimmy John's. You know, I have a college education. Like, I could go do something with my college degree, but like, what employer is going to be like, so what have you been doing the last, 5 to 7 years since you've gotten your college education? I'm like, well, making a lot of tapes. It's not going to work out, So I think that I was glad that I turned down those placements and those deals, because even if like then the deals, the other thing too is like, if you turn down a few deals, it's not like they'll keep batting down your door. Like, word gets out pretty quickly that like he's not interested, and then they'll stop knocking, And I recently had a thing where a friend of mine, sorry, I just want to make sure my hair is good, but
it's good.
I recently
at least you mentioned Morrissey, at least you mentioned that style, so it makes sense. It's good.
Let's go. Let's go. Just do the whole interview with my hair. But I had a friend recently who pitched some stuff to another label, which was not even like that big. Like, it would be just a different look for me, and the label was just so perplexed and confused by like the aesthetics, the lyrics. They're like, the music is cool or whatever. I actually pitched to a couple different people, and then that's when, like, starting about December of last year, where I was just like, you know what, like, it's CSR for life. Like, never. Well, I shouldn't say never, but like if Sub Pop came knocking, or like Drag City or Matador, like, I'd probably sign. But because those are cool, or I don't know, but like, I'm CSR forever, man. Like, it's just not what I wanted to do, but it's what happened, and it's what gives me like the most amount of like freedom and ability to do this stuff. And I have 90 some releases. Like, if I was involved with anything else, like, it would be a fraction of that, and it wouldn't be the creative vision that is as strict and as stringent that like I have with everything I do.
Sure. So, okay. What exactly, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, what was it initially after those times of declining those? You mentioned kind of, being a little bummed out or having a little bit of a regret. What exactly was it, that you were like, fuck, maybe I should have taken that? Because I mean, keeping in mind the thing of having creative, control over everything, being able to have your timing releases and different things. I mean, that shit that, that's I mean, cherishable in a music world.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I mean, no one stays at the top forever. And when the first record came out, like the first APL full length, like, bro, I was selling so many of them. Like, I was blowing through like runs of 200 or 300 tapes, like that, And it's just like units, like multiple pressings of the record. And then obviously, like, things slow down. You're no longer the new cool hip thing, and then you start being desperate because you see like numbers decline and go down, and they dip, and you're no longer the new cool kid on the block. So you start wanting to recapture some of that glory, but you realize as you're doing it, like, luckily I never did like a sellout record or a record where I tried to trend hop or do anything like that. Like, I've always stayed really focused artistically, but
okay,
you lose some of that steam. And that's the other thing too about, I mean, I've been doing this 10 years now, and like, that's the other thing too. Like, people get on the train, people get off the train. Happens all the time. You do it, I do it. You're into something, and you're just like, I'm just not going to be into it anymore. Or maybe you like it, but you don't buy the T-shirt, you don't buy the record, you don't buy the tape. You don't do whatever. Maybe you decide you want to stop following this person on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Or you just, it's not like a calamitous breakup or anything like that. But people get on and people get off. But now I realize that, like, it's like I have the perfect setup right now for what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to jeopardize it. I want to I want to protect it. In fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
all right, awesome. I love that. I mean, that's good. You know, keep it a sacred thing and keep moving forward for sure. Now,
sure.
if I could ask for someone who's never heard anything CSR, you were making, let's say, a mixtape. All right, you're making a CSR mixtape. What are 5 tracks from 5 bands that have to be on this bad boy? 90 goddamn releases. This is going to be hard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I think there has to be a Pregnant Light song. I would probably pick You Cut Me From a Magazine I Didn't Know That I Was In. That's a good song.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of everything in it. I just think that's one of my favorite songs. Although, that's like from a big record for me, but I'm one of those guys too that like, just like every artist, like, what's your favorite song? It's like, well, the one I'm working on right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much that way. But as far as classic stuff that people would dig, probably The King Is Hideous by Axumite. That's from our second release. It's just a ripper.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
okay.
a very good song.
Yeah,
The King Is Hideous from Axumite. And probably Indrani Radiant Ruby from Dressed in Streams. I was really proud to put out that record. It sounds fucked up in a good way. I think that record's supposed to sound fucked up, by the way. So
that's your cousin, right? In the band?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I was just trying to make sure because I thought I read that somewhere. I was thinking that you were in that band, but you were okay. You just released it. Got it.
Yeah, I also don't get along with him. So, yeah.
I'll put this out for you, and that's it.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, and then I did play some guitar on the record, and I did do some mixing, and my buddy Josh helped me mix it a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that band's very cool. And hopefully they'll do more stuff. But so that's 3. 4, I would do Baptismal by Field of Spears, the neo-folk project that I had nothing to do with. Ooh. I found them on a blog 10 years ago, and I thought they were the best. And I hit them up, and I was like, I'm a metal label, and I would like to put out your neo-folk music. And he was like, absolutely. So I'd probably do that. Baptismal from I think I put out 5 records from him, which is wild. I put out 5 records from that dude. I think, but his last one was called And the Earth Soundly Slept, and that's the first track on it. It's a beautiful track. So that's 4. 5, I'm going to go with Vestal Virgin. Probably. Okay. There's the 4 Meditations EP is the fire, the water, the feeding, and the keeping. I think the feeding, it's either the feeding or the keeping. I think the feeding, I think those songs are perfect. Vestal Virgin is low key the best band on CSR.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
Nobody, I mean, it doesn't have the swag that everybody else does, but Vestal Virgin is absolutely lowest of keys, the best band on CSR.
Okay. Who's all? Is that just your project, or is there other people in that?
It's me and Tim Langer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll be on your show soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not announced, but it is now. Dope. So look, man, this is yeah. Who? This is wrapping up our episode. This last thing, just as far as I have one last finale question, but if you want to let us know what is coming up with CSR, what's coming up with APL. You mentioned the vinyl release, but what's this next year gonna be releasing?
I fucked up, dude. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's sick.
Normally I don't snitch, but it's all family, right?
Yeah, that's true. True.
And Tim doesn't get enough respect. Nobody puts enough respect on Tim's name. He's the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what was the question? No, what's upcoming? So I have the record. Coming out. The APL phone song's coming out. I've got a new body stocking thing coming out. It's a weird project. I can't really explain it. It'll be out in a couple weeks, but it's like a Bathory tribute thing How do you feel about Bathory?
Um,
Come on, lo-fi horror guy. Let's hear what you think about Bathory.
I can't say that I hate them, but I think the first thing that comes to mind is the coolest thing about that band is their font. So you doing some covers might redraw me into coming back and loving the band.
Yeah. Okay.
And it might not, but you know what? I mean, I can't say that all black metal and death metal is necessarily my thing. So, you
Sure,
know,
sure.
for me to make that judgment,
I mean,
I can't be there.
I mean,
But I'm excited for that
somebody
release. When is that supposed to come out?
somebody has to be a poser, and it just happens to be you. You know what I mean? Like,
I would
it just
certainly never
happens
buy
to
a
be you.
T-shirt. What's your
Come on.
favorite song? I don't know. Is this a song? It's called Bathory.
Right.
Is that one?
Brother. Yeah.
Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead. Yeah, exactly. This band's called Old Navy. So we got that coming out, and then I have some more stuff coming out from Purple Light, which is a sort of, I've released like metal music as a Purple Light. I've released industrial music as a Purple Light. This Purple Light thing is going to be really, really thrash oriented, which is pretty crazy for me. It goes crazy. TM88 said it go crazy. TM88 is actually has some production on that. He did like EXO Tour Life, like from Lil Uzi Vert and stuff like that.
Nice.
Not true at all, but
Well, I mean, get him involved.
Yeah, maybe,
that would bring it in.
Yeah, he does say it go crazy, and I think about that all day. I just sit there all day and go, this go crazy. But so I've got that coming out. Probably should finish a Secret Creation record that I've been dragging my feet on.
Sick.
And then I'm working. Oh, and then there's a new APL EP, which everyone I've showed it to, just a couple people I showed it to, they've all been horrified by it. Like, the title is so out of pocket and so like it makes you cringe, but not in like a cringe way. It just makes you cringe in like a uncomfortable but like cool way. So I'm very excited for that. The songs are all crazy, and I think like you're gonna see as the year goes on like the fruits of 2020's labor, because when everything was like shut down and everyone was like at home all the time, I was spending 40 plus hours a week in the studio, like working on like writing, recording, and whatever. So it's like the things I'm putting out now are not a reflection of like the most recent past. The things I'm doing now are a reflection of like early 2020, 2019 even. So it's like, for me, 2020 was all about like bullets in the chamber. That's what I just kept telling people, like bullets in the chamber, bullets in the chamber. Like, what are you going to, like, when are you ever going to have this much time to like sit around, create? And then a lot of people, I'm not trying to get on my bullshit here, but like a lot of people were like, I just saw people bitch and people moan about like, how am I supposed to be creative in a global pandemic? How am I supposed to be creative when there's, you know, this, that, and the other? And it's like, listen, I understand, like, people had a problem making rent. I'm very sorry for that. People were sick and had loved ones that were sick, and that's horrible. And I'm not I'm not telling them to get over that, you know. So of course that's terrible. But like, if the name of the game was to stay safe, well, the best way to do that is to stay home, stay around, you know, the people that you're with, you know. And when are you going to another opportunity to have that time? Because that's always what I hear from people is people go, I don't have time to do it. It's like, well, now you have time, you know. And they go, well, now I'm not feeling creative. And it's like, do you not know how creativity works? Like, creativity works by like, you sit down every single day and you work. Like, I make music every day.
Wow.
Every single day I sit down, open up a laptop, grab a guitar, start programming stuff, start making stuff. a lot of it's very bad, or it's just ideas, or they're not completed. But like every day I work on music, like, and I look at other musicians like, do you do it every day? No. And it's like, well, then are you a musician or are you just an opportunist? You know? And it's like, I'm compulsively like obsessed with making music, and yeah, I don't release it all. People think I release a lot of music. It's like, dude, you don't know how much stuff I let go. Like, and maybe some good stuff too. And like, that's okay too. You can't hold on to everything. But like, a lot of times I'll just make a track and at the end of it, throw it straight in the delete folder. And just delete it. You know what I mean? Like,
Damn.
yeah, I'll do that sort of stuff because it's like, you can make another song. You can make something else.
True.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can, like, are you a real creative person? Are you a real artist? Or are you just a guy in a band? Because a guy in a band can knock out 12 songs in 3 years, like most normal bands do. Or are you like a real creative? Are you an artist? Like, can you sit down and in 20 minutes come up with something interesting to listen to? Maybe it's not a song, maybe it's not something, but like it's an idea, it's a texture, it's a riff. Like, can you come up with something like that? Like, if you can, then you're an artist. If you can't, you're just a dude in a band who is there for whatever dumb reason you want to be there. But, and I don't dislike that. Like, that's fine. Like, everyone needs that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I'm a musician. I'm a creative.
Nice. I mean, that's cool. That's one of those things, you know, I mean, it's certainly exciting to hear new things coming out, and I mean, new things constantly in the works. So, I mean, that's sick, because, you know, there could be things from, you know, the bullets in the chamber that have, you know, you've had for a little bit, or something that's absolutely brand new that you're just going to, you know, spark out. And I think that's one of the cooler things too, is that, you know, every once in a while, all of a sudden you look online and it's like, oh, okay, there's a whole new album of something out. Like, holy shit, okay, that's sick. You know, as opposed to once every 6 years, you have a Kanye West single come out and you're like, all right, is there going to be an album maybe that comes with it? And
I don't know. We can only wish.
yeah, nothing. Yeah, right. All right, man. So this is the finale. I had to do a little bit of digging. I had to think of something to try and pick your brain here and see what you would think of if the Kansas City Chiefs, all right, if they were rebranding the team. They're rebranding, all right? Listen.
They're not. I hate this question.
They chose you and a couple of others to reimagine as far as your knowledge of the city. What would you rename the team, and what would the logo be? Stop it. Don't tell me you can't come up with an answer for this.
No, I have an answer. Okay. They would have to be the burnt ends. The Kansas City burnt ends. That's what they would have to be that.
What the hell's that?
In like Kansas City barbecue, the end of the beef rib is like, or like the brisket or whatever. Sorry, I'm gonna get roasted for that. But like the pointed end is a lot of times, because like the barbecue is like roasted for so long, the end gets burnt, and so like they were always chopping off the burnt ends. And then like one day somebody was like hungry and they ate a burnt end and were like, whoa, these are fire, you know? So, and now that's like what Kansas City is known for. So they have like entire like briskets that they just do burnt. They just burn the shit out of them on purpose to make burnt ends.
Oh,
so
damn.
I think if you're going to go with something, of course that's, you know, we don't necessarily always condone animal death. You know, we support veganism and stuff like that.
Sure.
But even though we're not necessarily always vegan, but we love it. We support it. We want you on the team. But they'd have to be the Kansas City burnt ends. And the burnt ends are tight. Like, I don't know what the logo would be. A burnt end is very unappealing. It's just a giant lump of charcoal. But although that looks kind of ripping. You could do something cool with that, like with like an all white uniform with like just a lump of charcoal. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool.
The whole helmet looks like a lump of charcoal.
There you go. And now I'm thinking that, now that I think about it, it would look like guar or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Thank goodness the Chiefs will always be the Chiefs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dude, all right, look, man, I have taken more of your time than I even asked. I truly, truly appreciate it. This has been awesome. A great insight. And I'm looking forward to all the stuff that you have coming and all the projects. So keep it up, man, and keep up the passion. We all love it, and we're looking forward to new stuff.
Cool, man. Thank you.
All right. You take care. You got the Lo-Fi
See ya.
Horror guy, my dude, Damian Master. You guys take care. Stay safe.
See you.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.